Yeah, I wanted to know what has led you from the very beginning, actually, like who was Brian Black before he was a DJ, and what led you to this new thought, spirituality, and what you do today?
Well, I would say just going about what I thought I was supposed to be going to school, going to college, doing all the stuff I was supposed to do. And it did not seem like I had the instruction manual, so to speak. And there were a lot of questions, a lot of things that were not making sense for me that I found with a lot of New Thought teachings. Now, New Thought is basically choosing new thoughts and new beliefs to be happier. So if someone is going through a rough time and stuff's not making sense, for me, this is something that did make a little more sense. So to answer your question, probably pre
Mm.
New Thought, I was dealing with depression and a lot of mental health issues, um, which again, this is something that helped with. So the pre New Thought Brian was a little more than a little unhappier than the Brian of today.
Did you figure out why you were feeling so depressed and anxious all the time? Like what what was going on before you found this new thought, spirituality?
Well, some of that was related to just being isolated and not having anyone to really relate to. In some weird way, a lot of the church structure and religious structure was contributing to a large part of that because you go to church and if you're the youngest one there and there's no one really to relate to who is a peer group, then that can be a very isolating experience. So that was part of it. Part of it was just
Mm.
the whole bullying thing and not being able to make friends at the same ease and convenience as other people were able to.
Mm.
So that is something that undoubtedly was a contributing factor.
And was this how long was this going on
This
for?
is maybe from junior high, high school age to probably college age, so maybe 10, 15 years probably.
And
I'm
how old are you
just
now?
over 50. Can't believe I'm saying that out loud. Feels weird saying. Like, how did that happen?
So this was
Yeah, and
almost
it
20
feels
years ago.
like a like part of my life that I don't really remember a whole lot of. I know that sounds weird, but I know there's people who often will refer to stuff that happened on, 1990 whatever or, 2000 whatever. And I've not really been able to
Mm.
do that. When people say, "Oh, this was on a given year," I mean, I sort of am able to relate it to a song that I might remember or a movie that came out. But as far as like the actual year, that's something that I'm still I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that at this point.
Yeah, sometimes the brain likes to block out bad memories that don't serve us anymore, you know?
Exactly, exactly. So there's a lot of stuff that I just don't remember anymore. I mean, I remember some of it, but as far as like the year and stuff like that, I that's still iffy to me a lot of times.
Did you have anybody close to you during those years, or you were completely isolated? Like you didn't have any friends or family or what?
Well, there was, well, the family of origin provided some support. Um, I obviously was in counseling for a period of time, support groups, stuff like that. But yeah, it was fairly isolating. That would be true.
So how old were you when you were starting to see more change into your life and feel less isolated and feel happier?
Well, that's been an ongoing process. It's not really a situation where it's just all or nothing, but it's been a gradual process because there's been parts that have been, definitely improved, and other parts that are not. So it has really been an ongoing process. Not, 100% better, but maybe, day by kind of thing where it's a little better one day, then it continues getting better, and there's more good days rather than bad days. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I have those days as well. So how are you now?
Oh, doing good. Much better than I was previously.
So now you practice new thought spirituality and you are an advocate for positive music.
Yeah, well, what
What does
that
that
means
mean?
is a new thought as many people will refer to it as a movement. And I don't know necessarily if I agree that it's a movement per se. New thought, as it's generally understood and practiced and what have you today, originates from the early 1900s. There would be authors like Ernest Holmes, who wrote a book, Science of Mind, which is the basis for science of mind and religious science. Authors like Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who would go on to start Unity, and different authors and thought leaders, so to speak, who would put forth a lot of this teaching that we're not helpless against the fates of the universe and the world, but rather we are dynamic beings who can take an active role in our lives, whether it's the thoughts that we put forth, whether it's the beliefs, what we're believing, whether it's the actions that we're putting forth that are consistent with those beliefs. So that would be a big part of it. One of the things
Hmm.
that I do not like about New Thought, that I've been very vocal about, is that New Thought tends to be, well, not just tends to be, in many cases, it's outright monopolized by voices of boomers and seniors. I am not a baby boomer, I'm not a senior. A lot of the agenda, a lot of the gatekeeping, a lot of the defining of what New Thought is supposed to look like comes from leadership that is predominantly boomers and seniors. So what that means is if someone's a Generation X, if someone's a millennial, if someone's different populations in our society who don't share that same outlook, there's a feeling of being marginalized, of being on the sidelines and isolated from that. The music, you mentioned positive music, the positive music associated with New Thought
Mm.
is often, probably more than often, predominantly monopolized by proverbial adult contemporary music, meaning rock music, whether it's funk, heavy metal, indie rock, any number of, hip hop, country, jazz, bluegrass, any variation of rock music or contemporary music is deemed not as spiritually relevant and not as reflective of New Thought values as the adult contemporary music, which is completely contradictory to what New Thought should be about.
Mm. Okay, so I was gonna ask, is New Thought spirituality, is it like a type of religion? Does it belong to a religion like Christianity, or what is it
Well,
exactly?
New Thought at its most basic is simply a practice of choosing new thoughts and new beliefs and new actions consistent with those to be happier and manifest the highest good for our world. To answer your question as far as if it's a religion, there are, and that seems to be an ongoing debate, not, the proverbial $1 million question. There are many people in New Thought who say it's not, and the reason being is because New Thought tends to attract the people who don't resonate with traditional organized religion, and hence, if you can say you're not a religion, that can be appealing for those who don't like organized religion. So that's one that's one piece of it.
Yeah,
On the
that
other
makes
side of
sense.
it is that it is very, and again, when I'm talking about New Thought in relation to it being a religion, I'm referring specifically to the current leadership, which is defined in large part by boomers and seniors. Boomers and seniors, and no judgment on this, no judgment, but boomers and seniors grew up with the view of religion
Mhm.
being you go to church, you hear the minister talk, and you might have some fellowship on the way home, and that's it. And accordingly, that same structure is how New Thought looks. If you go to a particular New Thought brick and mortar church, you will hear music, you'll hear a message, not unlike going to a regular church. So when people in New Thought deny that they're a religion,
Mm.
and keep in mind that these are, tax, like like any other spiritual organization, tax exempt from the IRS, and so it's a little disingenuous. Maybe people. That's something.
Sounds
That's
like a
one thing
cult.
that there is a lot of culty behavior. There's no doubt about that, and that is one of the reasons why I speak
Mm.
up for the basic, um, you know, basic, foundation of it. But yeah, you are correct. There are many people outside of New Thought who, outside looking in sort of thing. It absolutely is there are definitely very culty elements. New Thought, unlike other areas of spiritual thought, is very paywalled. In other words, if you want to learn more about New Thought, if you want to learn more about manifesting your highest good, there's no shortage of classes and workshops and retreats and buy this and buy that. Whereas if you go to any other church,
Yeah.
a Catholic church, evangelical church, wherever, you don't get that same level of. So yeah, so when you say
It's free. It's
someone of a cult,
community based.
I would beg to differ that it's a cult. It's definitely not a cult. It does, however, it would not be inaccurate to say that there are very culty aspects to it. I don't think anybody could deny that. If someone's coming across New Thought for the very first
Yeah.
time, and all they see is a different set of music that is recognized as only being positive, if you only see the classes and workshops being put forth, it's all buy,
Mm.
then yeah, it would make sense that you're gonna look at that and go, because let's be honest, that is culty behavior. That's what let's be honest. That's so yeah, you're not gonna get any disagreement from me about,
Yeah.
I mean, a new thought. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I just looked it up. It says some common problems with New Thought spirituality include false idols because New Thought can lead to worshiping false idols, including worshiping oneself by teaching that one is always perfect, relying on spiritual experiences only instead of having a practical and rational mind as well, egoic feeding of the mind, teaching that there is no right or wrong and no objective truth, individualism, which is New Thought developed by the post Revolutionary War ethos of individualism and personal entitlement. New Thought is a faith that emphasizes the power of positive thinking, healthy mind, attitudes such as courage, hope, trust, positivity, and it also teaches that people can live in oneness.
Yeah, the last part of that is something that's, undeniable part of New Thought, the oneness of all of it. Now,
It's probably
yeah,
the
now
most
as
important.
far as, because it seems like that description mixed up some of the internal stuff versus the external and material world. So, yeah, that is one of the criticisms, and rightly so, a criticism that many people get into New Thought. I mean, there was that movie a few years ago, The Secret, about, manifesting, money, manifesting, which
Oh, I heard of
that's
it.
not a good look for a spiritual community to put forth that it's all about the money, all about me, 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 me. So yeah,
Like the
some of those
priorities.
criticisms
Yeah.
are very well noted, and I would say those are appropriate criticisms. There are, there's often an emphasis, and some would say too much emphasis on the self and the whole, no man is an island sort of thing. It's like, well, what about, our fellow brothers and sisters in the world? If someone's spiritual path is strictly limited to self only, with no regard for the world in which we live, and all the manifesting, all the spiritual work, all the hard work is only for one's own purpose, without any regard for anyone else, being very selfish driven, being very self-centered. Yeah, that I would say that's a very fair and deserved criticism. And New Thought still has a way to go as far as, not and let's be honest, a lot of that is, well and good. I mean, who doesn't want more good, more abundance in their life? Who doesn't want to be more educated
Yeah.
and more thoughtful and more compassionate? I mean, who doesn't want that? So the education piece of it is well and good. I mean, I think, everyone would want that for everyone. Be, more education, more knowledge. So the issue though, and to that criticism, is that when it's solely focused
Mhm.
on, essentially selfish reasons without regard for anyone else,
Yeah.
that does get very problematic, and it does, as you've correctly noted, does get very culty. And like I said, new thought still has a way to
Yeah.
go, and it's still relatively new. I mean,
So is this something you practice daily? Like what how do you practice new
Well,
thought?
new thought can often be something as simple as looking at a challenge a different way. In other words, if, for example, if there is a obligation to go to work, for example, if there's an obligation to do something we don't have to do, rather than looking at it as an obligation and, oh, I have to do that, it could be something as simple as just saying, oh, I get to be in the world today. I get to have a job that pays the bills. I get to go out and contribute to our society. I get to, so see the difference. One is
So small mindset shifts of
exactly,
gratitude.
exactly. So little stuff like that can be, you know, relatively innocuous, relatively helpful. So little stuff like that, meditation, contemplation, just proverbial stop and smell the roses kind of thing. There's
Do you believe in a higher
oh,
being or
absolutely,
God,
and
or
that's
what do you
the
believe in?
very basis of new thought is having that belief in the higher. Yes, so I would say yes, absolutely.
So is it like Jesus? Is it
Yeah, no,
Christianity or
new
what?
thought is very open and, to a fault, I must say, that new thought does not ever require anyone to, abandon or denounce whatever they're believing. In fact, when new thought started in the early
Hmm.
1900s, that was the initial intention was people can learn more about this and become a better Christian, become a better evangelical, become a better Jew, become a better Muslim. And somewhere along the lines, that teaching
Hmm.
and the writing, somewhere along the lines turned into a religious organization. So removing the religious organization part of it, going back to the original roots of it, it absolutely does affirm that whatever belief you have, you're welcome to hold on to those beliefs. There's nobody and nothing in New Thought that says to you, "Oh, you can't." I mean, that's precisely what it's supposed to be about, is affirming your beliefs. Now,
Hmm.
granted,
And kind of like structured,
yeah,
like a
now,
structured
granted,
way.
if there's someone who is content and is doing fine and where they're going to church, and there probably wouldn't be any reason for them to be going to a New Thought church. That you know what I mean? Because that would be kind of stupid. If you're happy where you're at already on a Sunday morning, why would you go somewhere else? So that's the thing. It's New Thought is not a proselytizing path. It's not an evangelical path. There's no it's not Jehovah's Witnesses where there's people knocking on your door, and so it's not like that. It's basically, as I've understood it, New
Yeah.
Thought is sort of on the kind of like look and you'll find it sort of thing. That's not really,
Well, I just pulled up this article. They say New Thought is basically broken down into two branches. One branch of religious science and the science of the mind and spirit, and the other branch is the unity of Christ.
yeah, there definitely are
And
elements of new, and there's probably more than two because there are parts of New Thought that are more
mm,
Christian based than others. Because again, it's something that affirms where you're at right now. So if someone is, from a Christian background, then it would make sense that they're going to want to have the spiritual teachings of New Thought to be consistent.
Mm,
Exactly.
the
So,
affirmative,
so
yeah, it says that now. It says the religious science is it was originally taught by in the 1800s by Dr. Ernest Holmes, who was also an American philosopher, and he taught that religious science pulls teachings from various universal truths found in both science and philosophy and all of the world's religions. They teach scientific methods of prayer called the affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment.
yeah, correct.
Hmm.
So the basis, because keep in mind what was going on in the early 1900s. The early 1900s, from I wasn't alive back then, but yeah, you look at what was
War.
going on at the time of the world. You had the Civil War just wrapping up. You had, you know, all Americans were not treated equal at that time. You had little kids working in coal mines 18 hours a day. You had, any number of different not good stuff going on in the world. So if you want, so it's important to keep in mind that what we talk about as new thoughts started in that time frame. It started in that time frame when there was a lot of, not good stuff going on. And naturally, if there's not good stuff going on, you want to find some meaning in that. You want to find some answers as to how can we do better? How can we, not just as Americans, but as, as a species, as humans, this doesn't add up. And why isn't it adding up? So it's important to keep in mind the historical context for that. It was in a situation where it would be like present day, because present day, obviously, you've
Yeah.
got, things are still a lot of work to be done still in today's day. But in the early 1900s, yeah,
Yeah.
so in
You
the
still
early
have a lot of
1900s,
division.
when a lot of things were just really
Hmm.
screwed up, why wouldn't people be looking for answers and why isn't this being done? So that's the historical context for where a lot of this originated.
Hmm. So how do you feel about atheist and atheism?
Atheism's fine. There's actually, I know that there's a humanist um, association which has a 10 commitments, not 10 commandments, but 10 commitments. And those are, so there's
Mm.
no disparagement or anything of that sort. If someone does not have the faith, then there's no one path to be a good person.
Yeah, but I think the issue with atheism is that, from what I know, is that they think when we die, we just die. And I think that's
Yeah,
very
and
hard
I
to believe.
I don't agree with that
Um,
either. I I think there's just so much out there, whether the unexplained or any number of different things. So I don't agree with that. I mean, atheism can believe whatever they would like. It doesn't really have any um, connection to new thought. Um, People can believe any number of different things. We it's a free country. They can they can believe that, and I think there's often a um, not quite name calling, but division between atheism and New Thought, or atheism and Christianity, and they're just regular everyday people, just like you and I. Their beliefs are just different than our beliefs. So that at the end of the day,
Yeah,
that's what it's
I
all about.
agree with
And
that
keep
as
in mind
well.
also that there are yeah, yeah,
Agree to disagree.
and there's no
Yeah.
shortage of those who are atheists who decide they're not atheist and go from Christian to atheist back to, maybe evangelical back to atheist. That's quite common, actually. I see that very, very often where someone will be formerly atheist or formerly evangelical or formerly Catholic or vice versa. And
Yeah, I was atheist. I just at that time, I was just living life and I just had this belief that
Mhm.
I mean, I could just be a good person and go about my life, but once I started asking like and connecting deeper with my spirituality, like I kept coming back to like there has to be more to this universe. Like, and one thing that actually disproves that scientifically is the universal law of perpetual transmutation of energy. So the law that energy never completely is destroyed, it's only moving and transforming. So if you put this scientific law of transmutable energy into when we die, that energy of our human consciousness and body has to go somewhere. So this would just defeat every single atheistic view of we just die because of this law of transmutable energy.
Yeah, and there's nothing in New Thought that requires anyone to believe stuff they don't want to believe. There's nothing that makes anyone wrong. It's, just affirming that people are doing the best they can with what they know how. And if someone doing the best they can with what they know how ends up atheist, great. If someone doing the best they can ends up Christian, great. We affirm the best for each person. And it's not a situation where, we
So new thought so it's so new thought is basically optimistic based or what? What would you say?
I would say it's definitely optimistic based. It's really is founded on wanting to see things better. Now, to your point, as far as the culty aspect of it, which again, that is no disagreement here. So there are definitely some culty elements. Um, but yeah, it is very much because think about it. What feels better if you're waking up on a given day? What feels
Mm,
better to you if you're waking up and it's like, oh, I have to get out of bed and do this, and this, and
mhm.
versus, oh, I get to go to work today. I get to meet new people today. I get to talk with new people today. Just even on that level, what feels better to you?
Yeah.
What's gonna make you more productive? Are you gonna be more productive when you're complaining and all, upset about having to do something, or are you gonna be more productive when you're approaching it as an opportunity to,
Mhm.
what can I do? It just on that basis, it very much is more optimistic. It absolutely would have that optimistic starting point. And I want to emphasize it's not to be Pollyanna and not to deny the very not so nice stuff going on in the world and all the negativity, but rather it's to
Mhm.
be more responsive to that because how can you more or most effectively respond to a lot of the negativity in our world if you yourself are contributing to it? You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you respond to it from
Yeah.
the Mr. Rogers quote we all heard, when things are not going good, look for the helpers. So that's kind of
Mm.
the the point of New Thought to kind of gather the helpers, so to speak, to have that optimistic view. Because often there'll be a lot of situations where there's no one having that optimistic view. If you have something not so good going on, and you have 10 people looking at it
Yeah.
in, a negative frame of mind versus 10 people looking at it from, how can we improve this? How can we make it better? So it's that kind of thing. Do you want to have more negativity in our world, or do you want to have more optimism in the world?
Yeah. So how has it helped you so far? And where are you now on your spiritual journey?
Well, it is a lifelong journey. I mean, it's not something where you get to a certain point and then it's, oh, okay, I've learned all I need to know. I'm good. I don't think it's ever been like that. I mean, we
Oh,
live in a
yeah, yeah.
society where, the whole school's out thing. You graduate from high school, you graduate from college, and that's it. That's the end. And there's always more to learn. There's always more to discover. I mean, whether it's actual literal classes or whether it's, reading and learning new stuff that way or learning from, whatever's on Netflix, if it's a documentary, there's always more stuff to learn and there's always more, you know what I mean? I don't think
Yeah.
because that's one of the, like, the myths, I guess, of our world is that you can get to a certain point where there's no more to learn, that there's no more to discover. And yeah, I don't think that's
I
true at
don't
all. And
believe
the fact
that.
that you
I
went
don't
from
believe that.
atheist to Christian, I mean, that's evidence of it. Um, so yeah, there's
Yeah,
exactly,
you have to have an
exactly.
open mind.
So yeah, so it is an ongoing process, and like I said, I really do like learning new things. I like, expanding my horizons. I like, just learning more. 'Cause there's always more stuff to learn and discover.
And now you're a DJ? What kind of music do you play?
I well, yeah, that brought me to, because, like I said, if there's and there is very much an establishment of new thought where a lot of the way it's set up is, for me, not very helpful. It's, probably in a lot of ways detrimental to
Mhm.
what new thought should be about, particularly with regard to music. And so if I can put forth a view that there's lots of positive music out there, and if I can make a difference in someone's day, if they hear a new song that brings them joy and uplift, then I want to do my part to, help, you know, get some more positive energy
Do
into the
you
world.
create your
Because I do not see.
do you create your own music or do you
Oh,
remix
do
some
I
stuff?
I I don't at this point. Remixing is something that I'm still iffy on because it involves other people's music, and I want to be respectful of that. So that is, I mean, 'cause there's a lot of stuff I hear where I would love to do a mashup with, or I'd like to do a remix, but because it's not my work to work with, it's
You
sort
feel
of
weird
iffy.
about it? Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. I know it's more common than it used to be, but the fact that it's not my music means it's
You just
sort
feel
of
weird about it.
just
Yeah.
really iffy about it. Yeah, because it's not, and I don't know if the artist is gonna take offense at it or if they'll, be, you know, so if I myself were a recording artist, that's one thing, but if I'm on the DJ side of it, it's it doesn't feel the
So where do
same.
you play? Do you play at like clubs or
Well, it's, Right now, it's on a music show, so I don't do any in-person DJing. Um, I would eventually like to do that, to have, be the DJ for retreats and classes, and that would be cool. I would definitely like to do that. At this point in time, though, it's something where it is mostly on a music show.
Mm, do you have any what's your favorite song right now that gets you in a positive mood?
There's so many. I don't know how to. I know there's a. Have you heard of Mavis Staples, like the Staple Singers, and she's did some solo work. She has a song "Worthy." It's sort of like a gospel vibe to it.
What is it?
That's a good song that I like. "Worthy,"
Worthy by who?
Worthy. Mavis Staples. She was originally in the Staple Singers.
This one?
So that um,
Is this it?
"Worthy." I I
Is that it?
I think that's it. Yeah, yeah. So I like
You
that a
think that's
lot.
it and that's your favorite song right now?
It's well, it's sort of got that whole gospel, take me to church vibe to it. That's one of them. There's the new Fastbacks album I love. There's Come On. I've played that, and that's a good upbeat, positive song. So I'm all over the place musically. Um, so those are two that I sort of like.
You should check out um there's this band called Beartooth, and I think their newest album, they're a hardcore band. Um their newest album has basically every song is about like uplifting, like being better. Um like, let me see if I can find one. Oh, here we go. Sunshine that would finally show. I might die if I stay in this cold. And I finally admit it. I gotta be committed to let this story unfold. I hear angels calling my name, and I better listen before I implode. I don't care for a minute if no one's gonna get it. Let's try selling our souls.
It's got a definite Panic at
Uh,
the Disco vibe, like Panic at the Disco and Jimmy Eat World sort of. That sounds good. I'll check that
no, but
out.
like that song is about, yeah, that song is called Sunshine, and then they have another song called When I Was Alive and Being a Better Me. Like their whole newest album called The Surface by Beartooth. Um, it's just like a lot of uplifting lyrics like that,
Yeah,
but
what I'm all
yeah, I
about. I
agree.
want to have more of that out there. So Beartooth, I'll definitely check them out.
Yeah, Beartooth. But Brian Black, do you have anything else you'd like to cover before we move on?
I don't think we've
You're
covered a
good?
lot.
All right. Well, every conclusion of my podcast, I ask all of my guests uh, some final questions. But before that, we will play that card game. Where should we begin? A game of stories. And the question I pulled out is, can you please share something that is awkward about a lie that I'm tempted to tell myself?
A lie that I'm tempted to tell myself, I would say the lie that I'm not good enough, that I'm not
Mm,
good enough or smart enough or all the other enoughs. That so I would say that that would be
mhm.
that would be the the lie.
And what do you replace that with
Just
now?
that I am, just that I am smart enough.
That you
Yeah,
are?
I
You are,
am.
man.
Yeah.
I believe you. Alright. Well, my final questions. The first one is, what is your biggest regret in life?
I um I don't know if I really have that many. I know that probably sounds, vain or arrogant. I was I would say one of them maybe is that I am too stubborn, and that makes people uncomfortable sometimes. So just the stubbornness is a regret that people apparently people find stubbornness threatening a lot of times.
How have you been working on that?
Just not being as stubborn, just being more mindful that not everyone has the same temperament as me.
Mm,
I mean, it would be cool if everyone did have the same
yeah.
temperament, but I'm finding out that that's not the case.
Yeah, that's what makes us
Yeah,
all
yeah.
different and unique. My next question is, who or what has made the biggest impact in your life that makes you who you are?
I would say at this point, my girlfriend, because she's challenged me and pushed me forward in so many ways, and has been, um, not quite a yes man, because I don't think people really need more yes men than they already. I mean, I do think people need their yes men, but the ones giving the honest feedback if something's not working right, and just letting me
Mm,
know and that kind of thing. So I would say she is at this point.
what has been one lesson that you had to learn the hard way?
That not everybody in New Thought is a nice person. That sounds mean and hypocritical, but there's a lot
Yeah,
of really mean people in New Thought. There really are. Like I said, keep in mind.
that like goes
What was that?
against it, right? Isn't that kind of like
It is
hypocritical because the
hypocritical.
whole
New Thought's supposed to be about love and connection and joy, and I've unfortunately had the unpleasant experience of dealing with some people in New Thought who are just not nice people. And again, going back to what we were talking about as far as being
well,
self-centered, if there's someone being in New Thought on a self-centered
yeah.
basis, then yeah, that would make sense that they're going to be a jerk.
Well, you see that in a lot
Yeah.
of different religions. Like you'll see a so-called Christian say like, "Oh, I'm a Christian," whatever, and they think they could just forgive
Yeah.
their sins
Yeah.
away. It's like, "Oh, I can go kill somebody," but just like taking it to the extreme, or just anything bad, anything that is considered sinful. Oh, I could just go pray it away and I'll be
Yeah.
good. Like that's not
Yeah, yeah,
how
and
it should be.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
there's hypocrisy in all areas of spirituality, unfortunately. So I definitely hear you.
My next question is, what would you do or experience in life if you had all the time and all the money in the world?
I would probably, I know, speaking about selfishness, I would probably put the show on more stations, maybe buy more airtime, maybe Super Bowl commercial. Just putting it out there. So a
What?
commercial for the show, for the show I do, and letting people know about new thoughts. So that's probably what I would do if I had more money and unlimited resource. Oh, it's
What show do you do?
anything posy, where it's just positive music for a couple hours.
Do you do
It's
it? What do you do it on?
just standard DJ mixing stuff, and I just upload it to Mixcloud when I'm done.
To
I can't really have it
YouTube?
on YouTube because a lot of music's licensed and whatnot, and I would get a takedown notice. But it's on Mixcloud when I upload it. Yeah,
Oh, Mixcloud.
because Mixcloud's got a lot of that's where a
Okay.
lot of music shows upload to. After it's done, there's a lot of shows that are on Mixcloud. So that seems to be my online one of my online homes.
You should look into
Yeah, that's
TikTok.
one of the things that I am looking into, that to try to get small length videos on there. So that is still on.
It's kind of hard. Um, it's kind of hard to get 1,000 followers, but once you get 1,000 followers, you can do live shows. You can do like a live play of your music
Yeah,
and
I
DJing.
wanna. That's something that's still on, and I probably might dig into some of that today and see if I can get that. But yeah, I do want to be on TikTok also.
Is there anything you'd like to tell whoever's listening that could impact them in a positive way?
Just remember that you're perfect and whole and complete just as you are, and the don't let anyone you know make you feel bad about your life. And so yeah, that's just that'll be my take home point.
Well, thank you for coming
Okay.
on, Brian.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And as always, everybody, stay curious, never give up, keep going. Peace.